In a vast empty region, a bewildered knight named Diaz wonders if he's being punked. Over a month back, he had returned home from a triumphant victory in battle. As a reward, the king of his country granted him a giant territory of his own to inhabit and oversee. Now Diaz realizes that he got scammed, since the king basically booted him out of the city to reside in a massive patch of useless land. With no extra orders from the king, Diaz figures he's fine. So he treks around the field hunting for food and extra supplies. After a short bit, he stumbles upon a fresh brook and drinks the cold water from it. Then he continues to scan the land until it's dark. Having located zero food or supplies, he lies down to rest, deciding that he'll ditch the domain if the whole territory is empty. The following morning, an angry girl named Na disrupts his slumber, kicking him and demanding to learn what he's doing in her territory. Daz gets baffled since there was nobody near him the prior day. She doesn't care about his shock and keeps grilling him to discover his roots. Diaz tells her that he's completely homeless, so the girl gets doubtful of him. She asks him what he was doing in her territory anyway, so he honestly explains that he was posted by someone to stay there. He then reveals to her that his single current plan is to survive until the following day. As Ola refuses to trust him, Daz tells her about his goal. He reveals that his late parents begged him to assist others and shield the weak as their final wish, which he accepted as his dream goal. Although Alna expected Daz to be faking about his hero goal, her horn starts glowing blue, which forces her to believe him. In contrast, Diaz is a pure soul, and he doesn't understand why the chick was doubting him. She asks him if he's a buddy or an enemy, but he reminds her that he's neither of those options since they've both just met. For some weird reason, Diaz's sensible words just make her even madder. He wonders why she's so annoyed. Then he remembers that she's residing in his domain, so she's one of his own subjects. Thinking that the chick is testing his devotion to his subjects, he fiercely swears that he is her true ally to quiet her. He vows to shield the girl from her foes, no matter who they are, which makes her horn to flare brightly. Even the girl is stunned by the power of Diaz's devotion, and she abruptly drags him away somewhere. Soon they enter a settlement of Anis. Diaz wonders why he couldn't spot the village earlier, but he's given no moment to react as the girl pulls him to her elder's home. Inside, the elder is shocked that Elna brought an outsider, since she's normally extremely guarded around strangers. Alna reveals that her horn never flashed red, and instead sparked a brilliant blue as he declared himself an ally. Hearing this, the elder asks Daz if he will back her as well. He accepts, stating that he's the ally of everyone staying in the settlement. However, when Da starts to explain that the ruler posted him, En leaps up in a rage and aims an arrow at him. The elder stops her since they haven't heard Diaz's full lore, but she also glares at him and demands a clear answer. He remains calm under the threat and explains that his parents always instructed him to aid others and shield the weak. Since they passed away early, Daz was left an orphan. He gathered the remaining street kids in town to stay together, and they pulled through by taking small chores and slaying low-tier beasts. As Das grew older, a war broke out with a neighboring realm, so he took his combat skills to the front lines. There, he displayed an insane natural gift for combat, so he rapidly climbed through the ranks. Following 20 years of a brutal war, Diaz returned victorious, and the king gave him this vacant land as a reward. The elder nods, trusting that he's genuine about ruling his territory. She then asks him if he'd still be her ally if she and her clan were not subjects of his nation. Diaz grins, saying that he'll still guard her like a neighbor. At his words, the chief's horn also flares blue, so Alna lowers her bow. Daz wonders why she asked him such a weird question, and then he gets something. The elder agrees, admitting that she and her tribe are not his citizens. In truth, her clan is actually the foe of his country. Despite their past, the elder thinks Diaz can be her ally since his aura is so blue. Before he chooses to do anything, she begs him to hear her out, After introducing herself as Maul, she discloses that her people were banished from the green fields over 50 years back. Ever since then, they've been at war with his realm, trying to win their land back. Diaz wonders how they can live hidden inside the realm's territory. So she reveals that her race can harness magic stored inside their horns. To demonstrate, she goes unseen with a spell, leaving him stunned. Then, she also reveals that her clan can effortlessly veil their whole village with the same magic. Das finally gets why he couldn't spot the village before, but he wonders why Maul is leaking such top-secret information to him. The elder grins, stating that she wouldn't have trusted him if her horn didn't shine blue. It turns out that the horned can read the motives of other races by relying on their horns. If a soul holds no bad motives toward them, their horns remain clear. However, if they have dark intentions, their horns would turn red to warn them. On occasion, a person might trigger a blue glow, which means they are friendly toward the horned tribe. Even so, if the good-intentioned soul starts to have dark thoughts, the horn would instantly taint the blue color with red, since Diaz never caused their horns to show the smallest hint of red. She feels he's a totally safe individual. In fact, she thinks he's a simple-minded fool because he's still trying to fulfill his dead parents' wishes. Although Diaz is confused, Maul offers to assist him rule his territory, promising to give him a hut, some food, and some livestock to launch his life. In exchange, she hopes that he can keep her village hidden from the king. Daz accepts her deal and promises to shield her tribe as long as they don't threaten his homeland. Maul is pleased with his mindset, so she commands to go with him and show him the rules of their town. Na nods at first, but then she gets shocked after getting her orders. Maul reminds her that she brought Diaz in the first place, so it's her job to watch over him. Though she is annoyed, Na agrees. Afterward, she steps out with Diaz and gets some locals to build a hut for him. In just a few hours, the locals rapidly build a house with a timber frame. Daz is blown away by their pace. So, Al explains that her tribe aren't always able to hide. For this reason, they build their houses with lightweight structures so they can be easily packed up in case of an emergency. Once the house is set up, Alna informs him that the food and livestock will be delivered to him later. She offers to assist him with the animals later, so Das thanks her. However, he feels a bit stressed about the low number of subjects in his domain and asks her if she's got a way to grow their population. Alna doesn't get why he even wants more subjects, especially since food is tight in their vacant land. She asks him how he'd feed an expanding town, so Daz realizes his mistake. She then hands him a bag of strange dust, explaining that it's a special lure that can attract wild beasts. Na tells Das to grab the dust and spread it far from the village, and she explains that he can make extra cash for every monster he gets. The muscle-headed Diaz grins, happy to get a job that needs muscles instead of brains. A few minutes later, after hiking out for a good distance, he decides it is finally time to start hunting. However, since Na never specified how much dust to use, he just spreads the entire bag like an idiot. This attracts an entire herd of wild cattle, but Daz is only hyped by the challenge. He lifts his axe and charges the herd, slicing through the beasts like paper. After slaying half a herd, the rest of the beasts run away, so Daz is left with the bodies of their fallen relatives. Unfortunately, he finally remembers that he also has to haul the heavy beasts back home without a cart to move them. He leaves the extra beasts behind and lugs just a single one. As Daz treks home, he feels worried that Alna will be mad with him since she easily gets annoyed by his antics. To his shock, she is thrilled to see the giant beast since meat is a rare item in her village. Spotting his bummed look, Alna wonders what's wrong, so he reveals that he had to abandon over 36 beasts behind. Hearing how strong he is, she is shocked and instantly changes her view of him. Maul steps out as well and praises Diaz for his manly performance. Na agrees, and she sprints off to alert the locals so they can carry the rest of the beasts back. Das wonders what Maul means by manliness, so she explains that it's simply a man's capacity to grind. The more a man is able to work and earn, the manlier he is in the eyes of her tribe's women. After learning this, Daz gets why Ellen seems so pleased with him, but he thinks that looks and attitude matter as well. Maul disagrees, saying that neither looks nor attitude put food on the plate. Daz gets where she's coming from. He realizes that for a small clan, food and survival are the only key things compared to the folk staying in the kingdom. Then Maul mentions that he'll need to work a bit harder if he wants to marry a hottie like Alna. He gets flustered and acts like that wasn't his plan, so she starts teasing him even more. The next morning, Daz wakes up from the smell of fresh breakfast in his room. He spots Na cooking for him, smiling in a completely submissive vibe compared to before. After eating breakfast, he compliments her cooking, which causes her to blush, watching him eat so closely. Alna is unable to handle the tension, so she shifts the topic to hunting again. She explains that her tribe still needs a well for water and an outhouse to hold guests, which will help Diaz build his domain. However, the village does not have enough cash to hire the builders, so Diaz agrees to hunt for them. Alna asks him to hunt some beasts, so he thinks about it. Although monster meat is toxic and inedible, they're rare loot trades for insane gold. Diaz agrees to hunt, wondering if the calm grassland even holds any monsters. Alna reveals that she can track monsters with her magic horn, but Daz refuses to put her in danger. However, she insists on going with him, so he agrees to bring her. Later, as Daz takes care of his cows, some village men bring over food and blankets for him. Feeling the respect from them, he realizes that this village truly honors the men who can protect them. Just then, Ola comes out of his hut after gearing up for the trip. Daz notices that she's put on some makeup while the other men get jealous of him. Meanwhile, Ola grins, stating that the other men will watch over the cattle while they're out hunting. Both of them move out, and after reaching a rocky ridge, Na chants her magic to scan for monsters. A strange blue light wraps around her, which alerts her to the location of a nearby beast. Diaz nods and tells Elna to hide while he slays the beast, but she refuses. Instead, she offers to assist him while using her stealth, so he agrees to let her fight. After a short bit, they locate the monster, which looks like a giant turtle. Alma's eyes grow wide with shock since she knows it's actually an earth dragon. However, Diaz doesn't share her panic. Despite her warnings, he leaps out to fight and tells her to stay behind. As the dragon notices him, he jumps on its back and chops its thick shell. The impact fails to leave a single scratch and instead snaps the tip of his axe. Das tries to strike the dragon's weak spots, but it retreats into its shell for safety. Alna begs running away while he still has the chance, since an earth dragon can destroy an entire troop of men single-handedly. Das refuses to run since he's still got extra tricks up his sleeve. He decides to hit the same spot until it breaks and begins hammering away at the turtle's shell. After a period of pounding his axe uselessly, the edge starts cracking. Alna gets panicked for him, but Daz stays confident in his tool. Since his axe is a special weapon owned by an ancient shogun, it holds the skill to heal light damage using a mending spell. However, Daz can only force it to quickly heal itself with mana, so he fixes it right before Alna's shocked eyes. He then continues to pound the dragon's shell relentlessly. Eventually, the toxic gas leaking from the dragon fills into the spot, and Alan starts to feel sick. Realizing she's in danger, he agrees to leave after landing a final strike. To his surprise, his final hit actually shatters through the dragon's armor. Furious, the beast gets out of its shell and spits a fireball at him. Diaz sidesteps the fireball and slashes at the dragon's weak legs. As he preps to strike, he notices that the dragon has targeted Alma. Knowing that it's outmatched against Diaz, the sly monster targets her instead. Furious by its move, Diaz leaps into the sky and drops down hard on the dragon, snapping through its spine and killing it.